Hey crafty friends, this is Chelsea. Welcome to today's video. We are talking about December Daily. I love this topic. I'm excited to give you some ideas. I'm going to give you 10 tips today about how to avoid the overwhelm of this project and hopefully end up with a finished album at the end. If you've never heard about December Daily, basically it's a project designed by Ellie Edwards, and it's all about documenting your stories in December. They can be Christmas related, they can be everyday life, they can be from the past, the present. There's lots of different ways to look at this project and to do this project, and we are just gonna dive right in. So my first tip for you on making this project a little bit more manageable and not feeling overwhelmed by it is to select one paper collection or one collection of products, so embellishments, papers, stickers, all those kinds of things that all coordinate together. Now, this could be something that you purchase that is all coordinated. Allie sells kits that all coordinate, or you can also use stuff from your stash, make your own kit. But I would encourage you to choose things that blend together really well so that you don't have to be thinking too much about which papers are going together. When you use one collection, usually everything in that collection can be mixed and matched really easily. This year, I'm going to be using the Evergreen collection from Close to My Heart. It's really pretty, kind of wintry feel to it. So you could definitely go just winter instead of Christmas, but I'm definitely going to take it in the Christmas direction. I love the imagery on this paper. It's really beautiful. And then I am also going to add in some red because I usually have quite a bit of red. I have lots of red on my tree, and we usually wear a bit of red during the season as well. So I wanted to introduce red to this collection, so I decided to go for Scarlet, which is a deeper red as opposed to like a bright, true Christmassy red. And so I went through my mix-in paper packs and just selected a few different pieces of red to use and other papers I had left over from other packs. But I have all this paper now set aside. It's not too much, it's not overwhelming, but I know that everything I need is right there. You probably also want like some plain cardstock, solid colors, and then I like to have a little sampling of some specialty papers, so glitter papers in the colors that I'm planning to use, foil paper or vellum or acetate, like those kinds of things. I also like to pick one metallic. So usually either gold or silver. This year I'm going with gold. I think it'll look really good with this collection. And that way I kind of know what not to even look at. I don't even need to look at all my silver things because I know I'm not using silver. I'm just using gold. And same for the colors that are in my collection. It makes it a lot simpler and a lot faster when I'm building pages just to look at that small collection of products. All right, number 2, choose your size. So there's lots of options out there. I would say the most popular are either 6x8 or a 10x8. That is what Allie has been doing the last few years, is a 10x8. I usually stick with 6x8. I think I've done a little bit smaller as well, but my preference is that 6x8 size. I find it's big enough that I can do some fun interactive things, but it's not so huge that it takes me forever to do a spread. So I'd say once you pick your size, then as you're looking at ideas and seeing what other people are doing, try and translate their ideas into whatever size you're working in. You could even go for 12x12. If you like to just stick with 12x12, you could definitely either have a 12x12 album, or you could mix it right in with your yearly scrapbook if you like to go chronologically. It really just depends on whatever works best for you and figuring that out and then sticking with that. My next tip is to limit your stamps and dies. So just like limiting your paper choices and your embellishment choices, limiting your stamps and dies is really helpful. I have quite a sizable collection, and if I let myself kind of just like browse through my whole collection or even just my whole Christmas section, it really slows me down. So if I kind of pre-filter everything, decide on a few sets, I do allow myself the flexibility. If I have something that comes to mind where I'm like, oh, I have the perfect stamp or perfect die for this, I will go grab it out of my stash. But instead of starting every time I come to work on this project, working from my whole collection, it's so much easier to start from this small few sets that I've chosen. And if I need to pull in things like circle dies, tag dies, those are kind of the basics, and I don't have a lot of choices to make in that department. All right, now you've made some choices. And what I like about making your choices now is it gets it out of the way. So every time you come to work on this project, you don't need to rethink those choices. You don't have to make more decisions. And I just find that a lot less overwhelming when those decisions have already been made and you're just following through. So my next tip is to get organized. Now you've separated out those things, but now organize them in some way that makes sense. I like using little trays and containers to kind of hold everything so it's easy to dig through and it's not mixed in with all my other supplies. It's kept separate and easy to get to. I can take a couple minutes, put out my trays on my desk and my paper and start working. Now, I also found this year this holder, it's actually like a cutting board holder. I got it from Dollarama, which is a dollar store in Canada. And I like that it has these little feet that come out to the side because it supports it and it's not going to tip over. I tried it out and I put like lots of paper in it just to see if it would tip. It's super sturdy because it's meant to hold cutting boards. So it works really well. And that way I can keep my papers contained in there. And I'm really excited to have that option this year. As for the wood trays that I'm using, these are also from Dollarama. They were like $4 or something like that. But you could use whatever you have. If you have like divided trays for hosting, if you don't need them during the season, you could use those. You could kind of, have a mixture of little baskets or whatever works for you. Some people use like a rolling cart that is dedicated just to their December daily. Just some way to organize your supplies. Again, making things streamlined, making it easy. Everything is contained together and everything has a home. So if you need to quickly clean up, you can just pop everything back in its place and you're good to go. And then it's not a big deal the next time you want to work on your project. While you're getting everything organized, doing some stamping and die cutting ahead also helps streamline things for you, because then when you're ready to embellish a page, you just kind of dig through your collection and pick the pieces you want, instead of then having to stamp them and die cut them, maybe color them. All those things, if you can do even some of that work ahead, it will help it feel, I think, a little bit more playful and less overwhelming. Plus, I think it's really fun to kind of get going on the project before the month starts. Kind of gets that excitement going, gets you thinking about like page designs and what stories you might want to tell, and just kind of gets you thinking in that direction. But you're doing kind of like mundane jobs, right? Die cutting, stamping, all those kinds of things, coloring if you want to. And since you're working with kind of like a restricted color palette, it's a little bit easier to decide what colors to use. You're not working from a whole rainbow of colors, you're working from the colors that you already chose. Okay, tip number 6 is take notes. Now, I know this might seem a little strange, but as we get closer and closer to December, there's more and more content online. There's YouTube videos, there's Instagram lives, there's Reels and TikToks, like there's stuff everywhere to take in. And even going back to previous years and watching people's flip through of their video, there's so many ideas that you're getting, and I think it can be super overwhelming. So the thing that I found that really works for me is to take notes, write down technique ideas, product ideas. Oh, I want to print on vellum this year. I want to use my Mink to foil some things this year, and just jot those things down. You can also sketch them out, do like little sketches to remind yourself of maybe how you saw a page laid out that you want to try. Jot down story ideas, all those kinds of things. I think if you write them down, whether that's digitally into like your notes app or onto paper, whichever way works best for you, it's a great way to get those things out of your head onto paper and just kind of free up that mental space, so you're not like, oh, what was that idea I really wanted to do, and you're trying to remind yourself of it. I like to do this with the creative design team membership videos. So we have a monthly membership group where we teach classes every week, and there's 7 of us, so we all take turns, and I learn so much from the other instructors. I like to write those things down because otherwise I forget. So I like to write them down and keep a running list of ideas that I want to try. If you guys are interested in the Creative Design Team membership, it's actually open right now. If you're watching this in real time, it is open right now for registration. It closes tomorrow, Monday, November 20th. So there's a weekly class, there is a weekly tip video, and then a monthly challenge where you have the opportunity to win a free month of membership, which is awesome. If you want to check out that great community and find out all the details, I'll have it linked down in the description for you. Now, speaking of Creative Design Team, this is a collab with the Creative Design Team, and some of the girls have been making videos this week of their December daily pages or other 6x8 pages. So I'm going to link the playlist at the end of this video so you can go check out what they were making this week. Tip number 7 is make a plan. It's time to make a plan. We have all these decisions made, got the products ready to go. We've been gathering ideas from all these really cool things we've been seeing online. And so now it's time to make a plan. And I have designed something based off of what I did last year. So last year I had a notebook where I just jotted down a bunch of information to help me plan out my pages. So I actually made a printable for you guys. It is free over on the Creative Design Team website, cdtcreatives.com. And it has 2 sheets where all the days are marked, and then also it has the page size. So if you're doing different size pages like a 6x8, but also 4x6 pockets and 3x4 pockets, you can mark down what size page you plan to use, which is super helpful. If you're using pocket pages, you need to plan out what's going on the back side. So like on day 1, if I was going to use 4x6 pockets, I could write 4x6, and then on day 2, I could write 4x6, and then I would know, okay, I have to, whatever I'm doing has to be in 4x6 pockets. There's also a place to write what sketch you're using, and I will come back to that in a second. And then also a spot for your story and your photo sizes. So you could write like a couple bullet points about what the story is about, and then also what size photos you plan to use. Then if you're not printing like right at that moment, when you go to do some printing, you'll see what sizes you need to crop your photos down into. Okay, so coming back to the sketches, Creative Design Team has 2 different 6x8 sketchbooks. Last Christmas came out with one for days of December, but they can be used for anything. They can be used for all kinds of themes. They're not specific to December. And then this year we came out with another new one, and we didn't brand it for Christmas at all, but you could definitely use it for December daily or any kind of Christmas project. All these sketches include measurements, so you don't need to figure that out. It tells you photo sizes, tells you measurements. It makes it super easy to just cut up your paper and assemble your page. Usually when I'm using it, I will either look for photo orientation, so pages that have portrait or landscape photos depending on what I'm working with, or maybe a select number of photos. If I know I have 3 photos that I really want to use, I'll look for pages that have 3 photos. Last year was my first year using sketches for my December daily project, and I really liked it. It really streamlined my project and made it a lot faster and a lot easier. So now having this new sketchbook, I can't wait to use some of these brand new page designs. I will have these linked down in the description box for you guys if you want to go on over and check them out. All right, tip number 8, set your expectations. I think a lot of times we get disheartened or we give up on projects partway through because we were expecting something totally different, and then we just kind of feel let down and we stop. And I think that's maybe where a lot of those half-done projects come from. And I love a good finished project. I love the accomplished feeling of, this was a lot of work and a lot of fun, but now I actually completed it and we can flip through it and enjoy it every Christmas. Because usually I pack my albums away with all my Christmas decor and then just bring them out and look at them at Christmas time. So what do I mean about setting your expectations? Well, that can look like, do you want to work on this project during December? Like, is that actually realistic for your life? Do you work every day? Do you have small kids? Do you have kids that are busy in all kinds of activities? Do you have a big project that you're working on at work or whatever it is? Do you have family that you're taking care of? There's just a lot of things going on in December. And so you kind of have to be realistic and figure out, can I actually work on this during the month? Can I work on it every day for a few minutes? Can I work on it maybe on a Saturday for a couple of hours? So you kind of have to just be realistic about what your life looks like, what you can expect from yourself. And I think if you do that, you will stick with it. So I know for myself, usually I don't like working on this project during December. Now that might change this year because this is the first year I actually have a photo printer at home. Before I never had a photo printer, so it's really hard to work on a project like this in real time if you can't print your photos as you need them. So I might work on it in December, but I'm not making any promises because typically what I have done is document during the month, and then kind of the last week of the month between Christmas and New Year's is usually quite quiet. So that's my time to sit down, figure out what I'm doing, and take all the pieces, the photos and the stories that I've been documenting all month and turn those into pages. And then also usually I book a Zoom hangout with a bunch of my customers and crafty friends, and then we just Zoom together for a whole day, and that is kind of my end point where I plan to be either finished or almost finished my project on that day. So I know I have that big day coming up. If you have a whole day crop, or you have a weekend retreat, even if it's not in January, maybe that's coming in February and you want to kind of mark that off as I'm going to work on my project that weekend and that's when I'm going to finish it. Then your expectations are set and you're not letting yourself down, and there's no pressure there because you knew you weren't going to work on it during December or you knew you weren't going to finish it. Okay, tip number 9 is to commit to taking at least a photo a day and writing down a couple lines of journaling, whether that's in your phone or on your computer or wherever, in a notebook, wherever is easiest for you to remember to do it. I like to have it in a note in my phone where I just write the day, write what happened or what the story was or something funny that was said or my feelings about something, because then even if I'm coming back to this project months later, I have the important things. I have the photos in my camera roll, I have the journaling, and I have my planning sheet that I did, right? So between those 3 things, I can work on this project at any time. I know, at least for myself, if I don't write these things down, there's no way I'm going to remember what I was thinking or feeling. And even looking back at my past albums, there's one album that has no journaling in it. I think what happened was I did the project, I took the photos, I did the crafty part of it, and then I never went back and journaled. Now, what I try to do is do my journaling as I'm making the pages, if at all possible. Because that way I don't have that big job of going back at the end and journaling an entire album all at one time. That's a lot, especially if journaling isn't your strength. If you don't really enjoy doing all that kind of writing, it's better to break it up, at least for me, into little bits. Because the sad thing is now I look back at that album that has no writing in it, and it's not my favorite. I could probably throw it out and be fine, which is kind of sad to say, but it's true because I don't really know. I don't remember what happened that year. Yes, I have photos, but they don't really tell the whole story or why this was important, why I chose to document those photos. So it's really missing a big piece of it. So even if you can only write down a couple of lines each day, take 1 or 2 photos, at least commit to doing that. And if you forget one day, do it the next day. A lot of things, except if it's a special event, you might have to see if you can get pictures from somebody else who was there. But if it's something around your house, you can grab that picture the next day. And I'm not really picky about things happening on the exact day that I document them. Usually we'll have some fun things in November that are Christmas related, and I'll want to put those in my December daily, like decorating our tree or going to a parade or different things like that. And so then I will just go ahead and plunk them in a day where I have nothing going on in December. And that's totally fine. By the time it rolls around to next year, I don't even remember that it didn't happen on that day. All right, last tip, you guys. Tip number 10 is to give yourself grace. Things happen. We can plan like crazy and best of intentions, but sometimes things just happen. You get sick, your kids get sick, someone can't host Christmas anymore, and now you have to host Christmas, and you got all these extra things to do, right? Like things go sideways. It just happens. And if that happens to you, feel free to pivot. Even if your plan was to document all 31 days of December or all 25 days, it's okay to let that go and say, I'm going to do 12 days. I'm going to do 12 stories. I'm not going to do all the stories from this year. I'm going to talk about special Christmas ornaments I have or stories from my childhood and weave that into the story for this year. It's okay. It'll be okay. And whatever you get documented is great, right? It's better than nothing. And you will still look back at those memories and cherish them. And if you get to the end of the month and you documented 10 days and you're like, you know what, I'm so done with this project. I don't even want to think about having to come back and finish this. Like, I don't want to come back in July and do Christmas in July and finish this project. Then don't. That's totally fine. You don't have to, right? You have your 10 days documented or your 5 days or whatever. You could always mix together years too. If you only end up doing a few pages, you could totally mix together a few Decembers into one album. So the whole point of this project is to have fun, to be creative, to tell our stories, and don't take it too seriously. I know some of my tips sound kind of serious, but don't take it too seriously and have fun with it. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you can participate in December Daily this year and not feel overwhelmed. Check out this playlist for the rest of the Creative Design Team videos, and I will see you again very soon.